Hey Screen Watcher, welcome back to another Double Take Review, where we give you our 2-take double dose injection of pop culture criticism because that's what the doctor ordered. Just a heads up, first half of the show will be spoiler free for your convenience, at which point we'll be swimming into spoiler territory where we put a big warning on the screen just to let you know, all courtesy of our in-house spoiler sea monkeys. Without further ado, action! What are we seeing?
Aquaman!
My man!
Your mother always knew you were special. The war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the 7 seas with me. But what could be greater than a king?
A hero.
Ride ain't over yet.
My man!
Holy fish sticks, Batman! Action. We saw Aquaman.
Yep.
What did you think, bud?
The best way I can describe it is if you have a dumb kid in the neighborhood and you always feel for him, you want him to succeed, and you find out that that dumb kid graduated college, even though if it's like fashion merchandising, you're happy for him. This movie is kind of it. It's pretty okay. It's solid.
Yeah. I would agree. The first half is a lot... it has more problems than the latter half. It was fun. That's what I had said early before we started the movie. I was like, I just want it to be fun. It was. I felt that it kind of was a long movie. But then when I asked you how long it was like around 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it felt long. Felt long, and you can't really blame it because there was a lot of story to go through. But at the same time, again, it's a mixed bag. You enjoy it, but at the same time, you feel like, what's you know?
They crammed a lot in it, I noticed. The beginning has a ton of action. Like, whenever it gets boring, too, there's another action sequence.
Right.
Which is cool. Because I think if it didn't have those extravagant scenes, long takes, by the way, did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Which is neat. It's unique. I don't know if we've quite seen that in the other DC movies.
Right.
It's quite a dynamic shot like that.
Yeah, no, there's you gotta give credit to the director, James Wan. He kind of rescued this property, I guess, of the DC series because, as we know, Batman vs. Superman was kind of a dud. Justice League didn't make any money, or made money, but not enough. Venom made more money than Justice League. So James Wan actually, you could see his touch. You could see how he made the movie flow.
So I think like an Aquaman movie has no right in getting praise, really, like, because it's so silly. There's that popular gif online of Aquaman riding on 2 flying fish. He's always been a silly superhero,
right?
But I think the difference is that where audiences have realized that movies like Wonder Woman and Aquaman might stand above some of the others that they come out with, like Batman and Superman, is because I think the creators actually really did deeply care to make sure that they got it right.
Yeah, and there's enough silliness to go around. If you notice at the beginning, there was like slow motion scenes. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I love that. I was like, okay, you guys are actually going the fun route. You guys don't want to go be all brooding.
And that's the way to go, too. I was also thinking in my head about comparisons of the Green Lantern movie. Mm-hmm. Like, why did this one succeed? It was a CGI fest also, but that one failed. Right. And again, I think it goes back to just the creators really took care. They went balls to the wall with that CGI, and they said, this is going to be crazy, and we know that audiences don't like CGI, but we're just going to throw it at them, and we're going to see what sticks. And surprisingly, a lot of it does.
A lot of it does, and some of it doesn't. I think we didn't really talk about after the movie, but there are some scenes that you get a headache just watching it.
Yeah, there's a lightning scene where I actually had to close my eyes because I was afraid I was going to get a seizure.
Right. But ultimately, as a whole, it's perfectly watchable. I would say enjoyable. Jason Momoa gotta get some credit
So-
for his how he.
So that scene, actually, when they're in the sand, that's when I was like, he's not the greatest actor, but he's a likable guy.
right.
And I think that translates into the character Aquaman becoming likable.
Right.
I do like that, he comes off as a rogue badass, and that's a different side of Aquaman that we really haven't seen a lot.
Right. And it's kind of funny because it seems like they did things backwards. If this was the movie before Justice League,
We would have been stoked
Yeah.
for Justice League, yeah.
Yeah, because like now you get to know who he is and how fun he is. There was this like really goofy scene when people come to him and want to take pictures with him. This is like completely not something that you would see in Batman versus Superman, because those movies are taking themselves seriously. But in this one, they actually play with the notion of, okay, this is kind of silly, but let's have fun.
And speaking of the other superheroes, this movie doesn't have any relation to it, aside from like one line.
Right.
Which is interesting because we were told that they were building a universe, and this one, maybe early on they're like, we kind of have to start taking a different path because things are changing. And with recent news of Henry Cavill not being Superman anymore, that really turns the whole DCEU on its head.
Oh, for sure. I think that's actually the saving grace of this movie. They didn't have to make it relevant to the other films, because it seems like DC doesn't really have a good plan, or didn't have a good plan, at least up to this point.
And that's what I talked about, the balls to the wall thing. They really went with the Atlantis mythology, and they dive into it, and you do learn a lot about its history,
right,
and about Aquaman's place in it.
Right.
There's a couple villains. There's a side villain and a main villain. I thought the Black Manta villain was not super strong. I thought they definitely give time to make you want to care for him, but at the same time I'm like, why were we told this story when we really don't need to care about that character that much, you know?
Right.
There's other things happening in the background that are more important. There's kind of a fight for the throne, and it's a story that we've heard a bunch of other times in a bunch of other media, but it's still, they find a way to make it interesting.
Yeah, but I kind of felt like that was kind of like a throwback to the 80s or 90s action films, like, because it's like super cheesy. The villain is not that great, that strong, but it's that was the type of vibe that I got from the movie, and I was okay with it. But I think there are things that we can talk about in the spoiler section.
For sure. So before we get into it, would you recommend that people go see it?
Yes, go see it if you want to have fun. This might be the best DC movie, of course, after Wonder Woman.
I'll have to watch Wonder Woman again. I'll definitely say it's more fun than Wonder Woman. I really enjoyed Wonder Woman a lot. But the fact that these two are in the same conversation, I think, is a big win for DC.
Yep.
I hope to see more. I hope the DCEU doesn't crash in just yet, because that was pretty good, decently good, fun. And I'm happy that the DCEU has created something that isn't a piece of crap.
That's high praise.
Yes.
That's high praise.
Now let's swim into spoiler territory. Do the spoiler, sea monkeys. Release the Kraken, Afshin. We're now in spoiler territory.
Yes, sir.
And Nicole Kidman lives, and there's a gigantic Kraken under the water.
Right. At the end.
Gigantic. Telepathic, even.
Yeah, there was a guy next to me when they showed her to not be dead at the end. He was like, oh. I was like, you didn't see that coming. Come on.
I thought her being in that silly outfit was interesting, but the Kraken was cool. I mean, I never thought I would see Aquaman on top of that. Was the Kraken, right?
Yeah, they call it something else, but yeah, the big,
not Cthulhu, right?
something else. I don't know.
But either way, it was a cool monster that he was on top of with his trident, and in the old Aquaman costume too.
Right. That they brought it back, and
looked cool. I never thought the costume would look cool. It looked pretty cool.
You can give this movie credit for making it cool and like having a backstory for it. So now it just doesn't come across as this like cheap plastic thing.
Yeah. When I saw it in the trailer, that's when I was like, this could be really fun, you know? Because I didn't think that. I thought a lot of the production design that they did in Justice League was to get away from that goofy outfit.
Like
but in this one, they're like I said, balls to the wall. They're like, nope, let's do it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what we
no,
need to do.
I totally get it because they added all the tats, so now he's super cool.
They had seahorses fighting sharks and
Actually,
mosasaurs.
those parts were super silly. Like
Yeah.
I was like, but I guess ultimately they made it make sense.
But imagine though, if you were a teenage boy who loved DC comics, your mind must be because that must have been really cool to see.
Right.
And all the Atlantean soldiers.
And there's a mid-credit sequence,
Kind of not very important because
setting up a sequel.
I guess, but Black Manta got his ass kicked anyway, so who really cares?
Well, there's a mad scientist.
I don't know who he is from the comics, but I'm sure he is somebody important.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I wish there was something a little bigger. I imagine they probably couldn't do something as big because of all the different shakeups going on.
They don't
with the
really
DC,
know what's
yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
My man.
My man. I don't think he's ever heard that or said it, and now that's all he says.
Yep.
We appreciate you watching this video. Please like and subscribe. We're gonna come back soon with another video for you guys.
Yeah, definitely worth it. 7 fish sticks out of 10 with extra tartar sauce.
My man.
We like to end every episode with a very heartfelt thank you to all of our dedicated spoiler sea monkeys. We hope to catch you again. Keep on screen watching.